We all know that working in mental health care can be difficult. We all know that whilst many of the people we work with are perfectly reasonable people who just have some problems, others are, by definition, almost unreasonable. You could argue that that's one of the reasons why they have problems in the first place, because they've driven away all of the people in their local society who could otherwise support them. And we are a social species. If you drive everyone away, that's going to have emotional and psychological impact upon you. So it's worth knowing a little bit about effective communication styles. Now don't worry, I'm not going to get really boring here and dry and talk about, the structure of grammar or about particular manipulation styles, because that's not what I'm about particularly. I'm simply going to talk about assertiveness and put it into a context with aggression and passivity and passive aggression. So you'll be able to recognize each of these when they're presented to you, and also you'll be able to choose to be assertive rather than any of the other three, because you'll know what they're about. So we'll begin with aggression. Think about aggression as a statement of intent. Aggressive people intend to get their needs met, and they have no interest in showing that you have any right to get your needs met. They're in it for themselves, and that's basically it. That's all. Then we have the other end of the scale, passivity. Passive people aren't in it for themselves. Their intent is for you to get what you want, very often because they feel inadequate or they're frightened or anxious of trying to get their own way, because they think that that will result in a backlash from the other person. So they're the two major ends of the scale. The aggressive person believes that their needs are more important than yours. The passive person believes, or at least acts as though, your needs are more important than theirs. The passive-aggressive person, well, they work to get their own needs met regardless of yours by pretending to be the victim, by pretending that you're the aggressor, because then either you will be so worried about actually being aggressive that you will just fold and capitulate and give in to whatever they want, or everybody else around will pressure you to give them what they want and to stop being such a bully. And we've all seen passive aggression. We've all been blindsided when somebody just turns the tables on us, and suddenly we find that we're giving them everything and still looking like the bad guy. They're the three that you shouldn't use and that you shouldn't really give into. The fourth one is assertiveness. And assertiveness is a different position altogether. It's the win-win position. Your needs matter, but so do mine. And when we're assertive, we try to get fair solutions, reasonable solutions that will benefit everyone, or in some cases will inconvenience us all equally, but in less significant ways than we'd be inconvenienced if it was just one of us and not both. I hope that makes sense. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you are assertive, you believe that everyone's rights and needs and wants are as important as everyone else's. So how do you make assertiveness work? particularly with someone who's likely to be aggressive. Well, one really good way to do that is, and this is something that's true for many different types of therapeutic conversation across the board, but certainly in terms of assertive conversations, choose your agenda before you begin. If you want to tell someone what you've decided, you don't necessarily have to go into long explanations. Depending upon what it is, you may not need to justify it. You have a right to make certain decisions, like, for example, no, I don't want to go and do this tonight. Well, if you don't want to go and do this, that's all the justification you need. It's your preference. So, know your agenda before you begin. Do you want to negotiate? Do you want to inform? Do you want to explain? Do you want to apologize? Sometimes that's perfectly valid. Do you want to just give an ultimatum? So, well, I think we should do this. If you aren't willing to do this, that's okay. I will do that. That's about boundary setting sometimes, and it's perfectly acceptable. You do not necessarily need to explain yourself. You don't necessarily get into an argument. Sometimes it's appropriate to do both of those things, but remember, if you do argue, it doesn't need to be heated. Another little rule of thumb for assertiveness is there is never anything you need to say that you cannot say quietly.